Hi Fude lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to go over some flat shader brushes that I have in my collection that are currently pretty much my favorites that I'm constantly using. So I'll just go over some comparisons, the different bristle types, and how I'm liking them. And I tried to include brushes that are still available on the market currently as I'm filming this. So there are a couple others that I didn't include today just because I wanted to solely include brushes that are currently still available. I will say though, I believe a couple of the Sonia brushes I have in here are noted on Beautylish as returning soon. They don't show as sold out, so I still included them in hopes that Sonia will bring them back. So the first brush I have shown here on my channel before is the KOYUDO Kakeshi Bizomi KSZ04, and this is persimmon dyed Saikoho goat hair, and it is 13 millimeters in length. So this is one of the bigger shaders that I'm going to show today, but it is incredibly soft and silky, and I just love it. And even though it's a bigger shader brush, for some reason I still really enjoy it for packing shimmers on the lid. It really is stunning, and it's got that beautiful diamond taper to where you can really get precise if you want to. Obviously not too precise, but you can still get pretty precise. And I would imagine you could also use this for the lower lash line as well, maybe smoking shadows under the lash line. So it is a really nice brush. Very thick and dense too. And then the next one I have here is the TAKEDA SH6 European Squirrel. It's white European pine squirrel, European dress pine squirrel. This one I did not get engraved, so it's in their standard long black handle with the black ferrule. This is 12 millimeters in length, roughly. I measured it with my calipers. And what I really love about their European dressed white pine squirrel eye brushes is just how smooth it is on the skin, the way it picks up shadow and just applies it in the most effortless manner. When I very first used this brush, I used it with, I believe, one of my Charlotte Tilbury palettes, and I was really blown away by the pickup power that this brush had, considering with how fine and smooth, soft, and silky these bristles are. It still picked up such a good amount of shadow. I really couldn't believe it, and honestly, this is one of my most used packer brushes that I'm going to be showing in this video today. It is just incredible. And I'll make sure to include the brush codes below, especially for TAKEDA, because they can be pretty long and tough to remember. But I have smaller eyes, and this one I'm able to get in the inner corner of my lid, as well as pack a deeper shimmer on the outer lid, and it's just absolutely stunning. Again, I was really surprised at how well this was able to pick up shadow, considering like just how soft it is. You would think with typical squirrel brushes, they really don't pick up that much product. Typically, if you want like a really nice ethereal look on the lids, that's what squirrel brushes are usually good at, but this brush really did not disappoint, and it was able to pick up that shimmer, apply it. I didn't have to do too many passes with it either. It was just, oh my gosh, one of my favorites. I would even consider at one point in time maybe getting a backup if I can, because it's just incredible. And then the next brush I have here is the Sonia G Soft Shader. So this is 13 millimeters in length, and it's Saikoho goat, and it's got really nice density to it. It's got that nice point to it as well. But this one, because it is undyed goat hair, you really can, of course, use it with creams or liquids. So if you have like Charlotte Tilbury cream shadow or any shadow in your cream shadow in your collection, this one's really nice for that. But even if you were to use it with powder shadows, like I love this with my Natasha Denona shimmers, it really does pick up product really nicely. And the way it just blends it on the lid because of the shape and length, I just love it. Sonia really did a beautiful job with this one. I love this brush. And it is currently still available on Beautylish. And I love the Sky series handles. They're just stunning. The blue lacquered handle, the way it just glistens. So pretty, especially with the goat hair. I just feel like the aesthetic of her Sky series are just beautiful. And then the next one I've shown before, and you guys have probably seen a million times, is the Rephr 02 brush. This is 10 millimeters in length. And even though it's a very basic shape, I love this brush. I actually own multiples of it. I can't even tell you how many I own. I really love this brush. And I can also like smoke shadow on the lower lash line as well. And it just picks up product really, really nice. Sorry if you guys could hear my kitty, Kiko. He just came in the room. He loves being in the room with me when I'm filming, and he was mad I didn't have him in here when I started. He's too funny. But yeah, great classic shape, great classic type of brush, and I would recommend it to anybody who's new to Fude, who wants a brush that's reliable and a brush that you could really use with creams or liquids, and it's just a true workhorse. So that's a nice one. And then the next one is the Sonia G Builder 3. And this is also 10 millimeters in length, and it's dyed Psycho Goat. So this brush actually reminds me of the Rephr 02, and I think I've compared these two on my channel before, but they're almost identical. It's just one is dyed and one is undyed, but the Sonia does look to be a little bit thicker in the ferrule, ever so slightly. But I will say usually if brushes have dyed goat hair, it gives them more body to the bristles, so it could just be because it's dyed too. So the Sonia one, the Builder 3, I would not use this with creams or liquids because it is a dyed goat brush. So keep that in mind. If you use a lot of creams and liquids, I would go for the Rephr. If you don't, Sonia G is just really nice, and the Builder 3 is just wonderful. I think it is currently sold out or returning soon on Beautylish, so hopefully she'll bring this one back because it is nice, and it's just great at picking up those really hard pressed shadows. You really only have to dip it in like once, and it's just got so much pigment on it. It's just wonderful. And then the next one I have here is the HAKUHODO B242HS, and the HS stands for Horse Synthetic. So this is horse and synthetic mix, and it's 11 millimeters in length. And I remember when I was first getting into HAKUHODO, I didn't know how I felt about horse hair brushes because they don't sound that luxurious, right? Like we're used to hearing about Kolinsky and dyed and undyed goat, or like squirrel bristle black brushes, but this is a wonderful brush. I know a lot of you out there who own multiples of this brush because it is just that classic shape and size, and it's got that nice diamond taper, so you can get really precise with this one. And I'll actually compare it with my TAKEDA that I showed, and this was the SH6 European White Pine Squirrel. And let me see, what was I gonna say here? 11 millimeters. Yeah, okay, so the TAKEDA is pretty much just 1 millimeter taller or longer than the HAKUHODO. So you can definitely see a pattern here with shapes and sizes I prefer for my packer brushes because I have smaller eyelids. These will really give me the chance to really get into the inner lid very nicely. And then the next HAKUHODO brush is the G5505, and mine is not labeled, unfortunately. It's older inventory, but this is 13 millimeters in length. And this one does not have the synthetic mixed in, so it's actually all horse. And what I like about this one is it still has that diamond taper, but it is wider, so it covers a bigger surface area, And even if you really wanted to, you could pack shimmer on the lid, and you could even blend a little bit with it because it has more movement. So if you wanted to do like a one and done eye look, I would say this would definitely get the job done. And just to compare it with the 242 HS, so you can see it's definitely larger than the 242 HS. Not only is it larger, but it's a little bit denser, but it could just look that way because it's longer as well. But it does feel denser on the lids. But these are just great. And you know, they're not overly expensive either. So I feel like horse bristles are really, really nice for picking up product very well. They're true workhorse brushes, no pun intended, but they really are. And I highly recommend them. And they can be used with creams or liquids, so they're not as delicate of a bristle type. So if you're looking for good classic packer brushes and you want to try something other than goat, these are really, really nice. And I know they're loved by many. I believe I even got I think I got this one off of Tracy's recommendation, Brush Junkie. I want to say it was her that made me buy these. So I definitely want to give her credit for that. They're really nice. I think she even has backups of the 242 HS, and I can see why. And there is an all horse version of the 242 without synthetic, so I'm curious about that, but I don't feel like the synthetic really hinders it picking up product, because it really does. And on the lid, I can't even tell the difference between the all horse and synthetic. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention too, when you hear horse, you think scratchy, like, oh, these are going to be scratchy, like, nope, good. But they're not. HAKUHODO's horse bristles are actually very soft, so I never feel like they're poking on my lid, especially the packer brushes I have. I don't have any of the horse blender brushes, but from these two, they're not scratchy and they're really good quality. And the next HAKUHODO one I have here is the B004G. And now, again, the B series is the J series. So HAKUHODO got rid of the B series, and they're now labeled the J series. So this one here is all goat, 11.5 millimeters in length. And as you can see, patterned with me in diamond tapered brushes, but I just love them. And this is honestly probably one of my all-time favorite packing brushes because it's goat. It just picks up product really nice, lays it down nice, and it's just, it really does a great job, and it doesn't take much work. It really is nice. And I'll actually compare it to my TAKEDA just so you guys can see. But yeah, this is one I would definitely consider getting a backup of someday for sure. And then we got the Sonia G Builder Pro. So this one is 12 millimeters in length. This is from Sonia's Pro series. It's Psycho Goat dyed. And I'll compare it with the Builder 3. So the Builder 3 is 10 millimeters. Builder Pro is 12. So the 12 is longer. It's also not as dense as the Builder Pro. And it's also not as wide. So I do feel like the Builder Pro does have a little bit more give, so you don't feel as much resistance as you do with the Builder. However, it still picks up shadow really nice. So I guess it really just comes down to preference on the shape, and you're gonna get a little more impact from the Builder Pro as you would the, you'd get a little bit more from the Builder 3 than you would the Builder Pro, but it's very slight. I don't really have a preference. I just think they're both great. And I'm able to get, with the Builder Pro, I'm able to get into the inner lid a little bit easier just because it's longer and it's thinner at the top versus the Builder. So yeah, it just comes down to preference. And then we've got the HOUKODO, let's see, this is the GS5. This is Kolinsky, and this is 13 millimeters in length. I've definitely shown this one on my channel before, but this is a great cost-effective way of trying Kolinsky, and it's really great at packing shimmers on the lid. So if you're wanting to venture out and try Kolinsky, this is a great option. Even after their price increase, it's still really not unobtainable for most people. So I would recommend somebody who wants to try Kolinsky. And Kolinsky is really going to be the best bristle type to really pack on shimmers in the best way possible. It's as close as you'll get to a finger application. And I'll compare it with my Takeda and the HAKUHODO 242HS, just so you can get the size comparison of these three together. So as you can see, I definitely prefer smaller packer brushes, just because I feel like you can really get more detail and get the shadow exactly where you want it. And then we've got the, the HAKUHODO J242. So this one is Go and Synthetic Mix, and it's 11 millimeters in length. And as I mentioned in my last HAKUHODO video, you really cannot tell when they have synthetic mixed in. It's so minor that honestly, I sometimes forget which ones are bundled with synthetic fibers and natural hair. Like, I'll compare it next to the B004G, which is all goat. And as you can see, you really can't tell that much. Maybe at the very tips, but it's just so slight that I would say the average consumer really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But these are these two compared. And let me see here. So yeah, the B004G is only 0.5 millimeters longer. So really not by much. And then we have the BISYODO BES06. This is also Kolinsky, and it's 13 millimeters in length. So as I've stated on my channel before, if you're wanting a more luxurious handle, I would get the BISYODO, and it's a really, really nice packer brush. And it is larger than the HOUKODO. So the HOUKODO is 11 millimeters and the BISYODO is 13. So, and not only that, but the BISYODO is wider. So you're gonna get more surface coverage from the BISYODO. It's really nice. I just love Kolinsky flat shader brushes. I wanna get more. I honestly don't have that many, and I know Kolinsky is becoming more and more rare these days, so I've got to get on that and get some more Kolinsky flat shaders for sure. And then the next one here, this is actually new to me, and I haven't used it yet, but I wanted to showcase it in this video. So this is the SURRATT Classique Shadow Brush Moyenne, and this is 12 millimeters in length, but look at this handle. Honestly, like, pictures and videos don't do this handle any justice. It shifts from purple to green, and this is Canadian Squirrel, and it's really nice. I'm really looking forward to trying this one. It's got really nice flexibility, nice and flexible, and it is very soft. Not as soft as my TAKEDA Canadian Squirrel, of course, but it is soft. So if you're just like venturing out into Canadian Squirrel, this is a really nice one. And I'll compare it with my TAKEDA. Shapes are very similar, but the SURRATT one is definitely wider. Then I have another TAKEDA here. So this is the 10 EPSQW W. So this is 10 millimeters in length, and it's European dressed white pine squirrel. And I love this one. This one is incredible. Very soft, very smooth, silky. The way these white pine squirrel brushes from Takeda apply shimmers, they just glide the shimmer. I can't even describe it. Like, it's just effortless. Again, you wouldn't think it would pick up much, but it sure does. It is a treat. And honestly, I got to a point where I had to stop using these because they were all I wanted to use. They're incredible. And I'll put it next to the SH6. And these are both white pine squirrel. But the 10 is denser. So with the 10, I even like to use this like to place shimmer on my lower lash line, or you could even use it on your lower lash line. It's a really nice versatile shape, but it's nice and dense. Oh my gosh, I love these. These are like probably two of my most used favorite eye brushes of all time. Like, I adore these. Oh, they're incredible. Oh, and let me compare the SURRATT with them just so you guys can see, just to have them next to each other. So again, the SURRATT is Canadian squirrel and the Takedas are white pine squirrel. And they're just gorgeous. And here's just the densities next to each other. Wonderful packers. I love them. And then last but not least here, we have the Takeda WF10. This is 13 millimeters in length. And it is Kolinsky. You can hear it. Just love, 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 love this brush. Gorgeous. With Takeda's numbering, anything from 10 up is Kolinsky, just to keep in mind. But it's my only Takeda Kolinsky brush that I own because Takeda's Kolinsky is incredibly expensive. But it is a treat to use this brush. Oh my gosh. It picks up shimmer like a dream. Again, Kolinsky is going to be a real power horse picking up shimmers. It is as close to your finger application as you'll get. And I'll compare it with my BISYODO and my HOUKODO, just for size comparisons. Here's the side profile. So the Takeda is the most dense. But honestly, anyone would be happy with any one of these. But if I was to pick one, if someone said you have to pick, of course it would be the Takeda. I'm a little biased. I just love Takeda's brushes. Like, their quality is bar none in my opinion. But if you're somebody who doesn't want to splurge on Takeda, you will be more than pleased with the BISYODO or the HOUKODO because they all apply very similarly. But yeah, they're just great. Love them. Trying to think if there was any other comparisons that I wanted to show. I'll just do, let's actually do this. If you guys don't own this HAKUHODO, let me see, it's the G5505. Like, let's say you own the SONIA G Builder Pro, because I know this is a popular brush, just so you can get an idea of the size. So it is wider than the Builder Pro, but it's not as dense. And then here's the soft shader compared with it as well, just to get an idea. Really lovely. I just love HAKUHODO's horse eye brushes, like, at least they're packer brushes. And then we have both 242. So these are both 242, but they're just in different bristle mixes. So again, the 242 is goat and synthetic. And then the 242 HS is horse and synthetic. And they're both 11 millimeters in length. So they're the same exact brush, just different bristles. Really nice. It's good to have different bristles. You can use different products. They're going to apply differently. I'll compare the SURRATT with the B004G, which is all goat. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Let me see. So yeah, KOYUDO is definitely the biggest one I had in this video, the KSZ04. But again, it's just something about it. It just applies shadow in such a beautiful way. I'll compare it with the Builder 3, Sonia G Builder 3. So you can see how much bigger it is than the Builder 3. Very dense. And seeing it next to the Builder 3, knowing how dense the Builder 3 is, really shows how dense the KOYUDO is. It's pretty crazy because the Builder 3 is really, really, really dense. But they're just lovely. And I hope Sonia is able to restock because her brushes are just absolutely incredible. And anybody who missed out on certain brushes that aren't restocked, I hope they come back. So, but yeah, I will, of course, include all my links down below. And I'd love to hear, what are your favorite shader brushes that you guys have in your collection? If you have any questions, of course, as always, leave them down below. I'm more than happy to help. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.